What's up, guys? It's Weezy here, and welcome to episode 26 of Pay to Glory. In today's episode, we are going to do another DKT run. So the DKT runs continue because there are some really cool kits out there. In the last episode, you guys saw me kind of struggle through, but eventually win the Roma Fnatic eSports kit, which was a really cool kit. And then in today's episode, we're going in to try to win the Team Vitality one. If you guys could leave a like on the video, I really appreciate it. You guys helping me grow the channel means so much to me. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel down below. And if you want to interact with me on Twitter as well, I also have Twitter, and I like to interact with, I don't want to call them my fans or anything like that, because I don't think I'm like a big celebrity by any means. But anybody that wants to interact with me, I'm just like a guy like you or I. I have no problems interacting with anybody, talking about footy, talking about FIFA. I love to talk about anything football related. So feel free to add me or message me on Twitter. So my link is down below to Twitter. But if you don't want to check the link, if you're too lazy, like a lot of people are, like myself, my handle is @mweezy04. So feel free to add me on there, and we can kind of talk about anything footy related. So as we jump into the video here, what you guys saw at the start was obviously just some squad battle stuff. Some of the rewards, we didn't really play a lot of squad battles this past week, and I had no idea who that new one is. He had some jacked up Barcelona team. So the squad battles, I've just been waning more and more every week with them. So I just lose more and more interest. Even playing the 8 or 10 games to try and get the 10,000 coins has just become so disinteresting for me. So I haven't really been playing too much of it. And then from this, I was just getting rid of a lot of the J-League stuff. I went and checked because the J-League had their SBC for that SBC Cristiano, and a lot of them were going for about 1,500 coins, so I was getting rid of those. So as we jump into the actual DKT run, the first opponent we come up against has a 4-3-2-1. So the first two opponents that we actually played both had really good teams, and they both went in and did the Pro Switch. And the Pro Switch is, for those of you that don't know what a Pro Switch is, most of you guys do, but essentially it's just putting your players, all that you want into your squad, into a starting formation that you're not going to use, going in there and just changing all your custom tactics and everything like that. Call it Pro Switch for obvious reasons, because pros like to do it. I hate it. I find it really annoying, not just the fact that you have to go in and pause it and make all the changes, but it defeats the purpose. It just of having chemistry and having formations. They might as well just remove that. So I'm hoping that's something you see get changed in future FIFAs. But this guy was a really good opponent. So this essentially was what I was expecting. I played these games yesterday. Today's Tuesday. Yesterday was obviously Monday morning. And I expected the opponents to be really good, because I'm like, who else is going to play this tournament, on a Monday morning besides me? I just had the day free, so I was like, you know what, I'll go in and I'll try playing some games. But you come up against these guys. I've never had any issues with the DKT runs in the past until the last 2 weeks, because they've been offering these special kits. And as soon as you have anything that's like outside the norm of just like 2,000 coins and like a gold pack, any special items, you're gonna get hardcores in there. Excuse me. And yeah, hardcores are just like guys that essentially want to win the kits, like basically FUT Champs players. So that's what this guy was. You could tell that he was a FUT Champs player in the way he played. Everything was kind of like side to side in terms of being at the top of the box. And he would just essentially cut inside, play it back outside, play it back inside, play it back outside, bomb down the wing, and then smash a cross in. He was actually playing a lot of crosses in the air, which I found surprising. But you guys saw his second goal there was just a low-driven pass and just buried by Cristiano Ronaldo. So, I mean, you guys saw his team, the way it was composed. I mean, this guy had FUT Champs written all over it. He just wanted to win the cup. And he was a good player. I'm not insulting him. I'm not taking anything away from him. He deserved to be up 2-1. We were able to pull one back to make it 2-1. Sorry, he went up 2-0, and we were able to pull one back to make it 2-1. And at that point, to be honest with you, that's when the winds of the game changed. I really started feeling the momentum start shifting in my favor, and I really started controlling the game. It's just unfortunate, because this guy's team was so good. He was such a good player, too, in terms of like his quality, even though that we, had most of the play. I had most of the possession, and I was really owning the midfield to a certain degree. He was just a good enough player that he was putting himself in positions where he could capitalize off counterattacks. So you're seeing there, Valencia was a really nice play. I got kind of caught player switching in the back, and he made it 3-1. And unfortunately for me, at that point, it was pretty much game over. Like I said, we were able to, really start dominating the play, but he was a good enough player and his team was really good, so it was just going to be too hard to get back into it. So we were able to pull one back there with Griezmann. And even though we had 20 minutes, you know, I had chances where I could potentially get back into it, but none of them were really great chances. I wasn't really able to open the door, unlock the key, whatever reference you want to use there. It was just he was defensively sound enough and his players were good enough that I just couldn't really break through. We kind of had somewhat of a half chance here. Lacazette gets in, but unfortunately his defender closed me down, put him under enough duress, and David De Gea's got that annoying foot save with feet technique trait or whatever, so he's been causing me a lot of problems when I come up against him. He's actually one of the players that I've considered getting. If Courtois hadn't been so good for me, I would consider forking out the extra money for David De Gea if I was struggling in goal, because he has caused me so many problems when I've come up against him. People that complain about him, I think, forget about how big he comes up in some games. So he's a really good keeper, and he causes me a lot of problems. But we do end up losing 3-2, even though we're kind of pressing for it. If we had a little bit more time, maybe we could have got back into the game, and then I felt confident that we probably could have won it in extra time. But unfortunately, he was a good enough opponent, and GG's to him. He ends up taking the first game. So back to the breadline we go. We go to the start of the tournament. We go out in the first round. And we come up against this guy. He had the Barca and the Real kits, and I was thinking, I wonder what kind of team he's going to have here. And not to my surprise, you take a look at the team that's going to pop up on the screen, and look at that. Messi, Ronaldo, Inform Suarez, Ruud Gullit, Mateus, Vieira, Laurent Blanc, Team of the Year, Sergio Ramos, Roberto Carlos, Antonio Valencia, and of course David De Gea. So pay to win team. Pinda is his name, 4-3-3 formation. And yeah, I mean, again, another team that I expect to have in this tournament, you know, people that want to win the kit right away. But the funny thing actually about this game was I actually felt like I was really dominating the game. And I'm not just saying that, I'm not delusional about when I'm, you know, deserve to win and when I don't deserve to win. I didn't deserve to win that first game because the guy, you know, obviously scored 3 goals, but he was just playing better than me in the first half, and I just couldn't claw back. But this game was the opposite. I felt like I was in command for most of it, and I know that sounds a little conceited to say, but I was reading pretty much everything he was doing. After I scored my goal, he ends up scoring this. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, it was kind of a hope and a prayer type shot, but it is Ruud Gullit. It's that 88 Ruud Gullit. He's essentially the best midfielder in the entire game. So, you know, you can't discourage him for having Ruud Gullit. Ruud Gullit does those types of things. He's a special card that does special things, and that's a special thing. So he made it 1-1, pulling it back on essentially his only opportunity, and then I came back and made it 2-1 with Maradona. And at this point, again, I was just feeling really confident. I just felt like I was really owning the midfield. I was reading everything he was doing. Like, he couldn't really get out of his own half almost. Like, he was really struggling to make those passes, even though he wasn't a bad player. And he was, you know, trying to read where I was going, and he was doing a decent job. I was really defensively all over him and just dispossessing him, causing him real problems. And I really should have made it 3-1 here. That would have been the icing on the cake, but unfortunately Lacazette squanders that chance. I end up putting it again into the feet of David De Gea. That's what that save with feet trait does for you, especially when you're in tight like that. He makes those big saves. So that David De Gea really bailed him out here. I thought we potentially would have made it 3-1 again right at the end of the half there with Frank Rijkaard, but of course Frank Rijkaard's shooting is not the strongest, so I didn't expect that to go in, but it would have been nice if it did go in. So we go into the half at 2-1. Again, feeling really good about the way I'm playing, about the fact that I'm going to come away a winner in this game. But, you know, as I've always said, when it comes to FIFA, if you don't kill a guy off, if you leave him hanging around, you're leaving yourself susceptible to potentially getting counterattacked or a guy coming back in and tying the game. And, you know, that's what we were doing. We weren't able to really get that chance. Like, his team was just so overpowered. It wasn't like it was easy to create chances. And then he sort of gets this half chance right at the end where he was shooting with Suarez's left, and Azpilicueta defended it perfectly, but he gives up a corner, and of course, because it's the 90th minute, I knew where this was going, right to Ronaldo's head, but I just, you know, what are you going to do there? Like, you can't stop it. And I'm sorry for sounding like a little bit of a whiner here, but, you know, Ronaldo, again, just causing me so many problems. He's just such a good card. Probably the best card in the game from a base card standpoint. Uh, he's just, you can't stop that. You know, that driven header to the near post. If a guy knows how to do it properly, it's one of the things I'd really like them to address. But if done properly, it's pretty much a goal every time. So it was frustrating because it was really against the run of play. I didn't even think that he deserved the corner because he didn't really even create a chance there. It was just, he just essentially hit it with my defender right in front of him. He just hit shoot, and the defender somehow gives up this crazy, like, the ball physics didn't really make any sense, but he gives up this corner, and then the guy's into extra time, so he gets a chance to win it because of it. But anyway, we're going to extra time, so I still have the opportunity to potentially win it. I thought I had it here, but just, I had tried to slow him down, but Lacazette just, you know, took such like a labored touch, and when he didn't get the ball out of his feet, I knew that David De Gea was just going to come and suffocate him. I thought we had another chance here with Dembele where I just tried to one-time it, but Dembele took a weird touch, it bounces up and he goes back to goal. And then here, I thought I had another chance again with Modric. You can see the guy's basically just trying to hold on for dear life. Like, he was really lucky to even get into extra time, and then in extra time, like, this was his only, if you can even call that a chance. He was just kind of resulting from long-range shots, but he wasn't generating really any chances. So I felt like we deserved better, but to his credit, he took me to penalties, and as you guys know, my feelings on penalties, if you go to penalties, it's usually the team that unfortunately doesn't deserve it that usually wins it. So a little bit of foreshadowing there. Maybe that's just bitterness, I don't know. So take that for what it's worth. But unfortunately, I didn't think this guy deserved to be in penalties. But he was very efficient in penalties. Clearly not his first penalty shootout. And, you know, he ended up basically hitting all of his. So we were at 1-1, and then Dembele steps up, and I tried to go, if you guys watched my last video, you know my philosophy on penalties. I try to go high and somewhat towards the middle. I thought I did that there with Dembele, but apparently didn't go high enough, and it just ends up going right down the middle. Then he steps up with Ronaldo, and Ronaldo buries one here, and he makes it 2-1. He was just really efficient with them. You know, Lacazette comes up, and at this point I was just like, I'm really trying to be super efficient with how I'm taking them. I try to go top left, and boy, does he put that top left. Like, what a perfect penalty from Lacazette. And then he steps up with Suarez, and this is probably the most frustrated I was in this entire game, because I thought I had this one read. But Suarez just goes to the right, basically down the middle. I read it. I even went a little bit to the left there, or to your right, the way you're seeing it. But it goes through my keeper. So this is just my biggest issue with penalties in general. Like, I don't think penalties, there was any, even, I don't know what I was doing with Maradona there, but I don't think there was even anything wrong with penalties, to be honest with you. Like, they were fine. And it's that old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of deal. And unfortunately, they made the change and put in this stupid system right here. I appreciate the fact they tried to make them more challenging, but it's the amount of times that you dive the right way and it hits the keeper and goes in, or goes under his arm, or he short arms it, like, just really dumb stuff. So, like, I would just like to see them, I would be fine with them just going back to the way penalties were. Like, I didn't think there was, again, anything wrong with them, but they want to keep them like this. It's just an idiotic penalty system, and unfortunately it costs you games sometimes. But back to the breadline we go again. So we go 0 for 2 in our opening round. So hopefully at this point I can just get out of the first round. I know that sounds crazy. I never thought I'd be saying that, but at this point I just want to get out of the first round. We got unlucky getting 2 real beast players, and you know, one at least deserved the victory. The other guy might not deserve it, but I mean, hey, he took me to penalties and ended up winning in penalties, so I guess you could say, you know, he deserved the win there. So back to the start, and this is more the teams that I kind of expected, at least in the opening round. So this guy had like a 4-3-3 EPL team. He had informed Callum Wilson, and he had Salah and Martial, so very kind of, I guess you could call it a meta team. Excuse me, at this point of FIFA, it's not super meta, but at the same time, you know, it's definitely a team that you could lose to if the guy knows how to use them properly. But at this point, I was just going like very aggressive with my attack. One of the things that I've learned how to do is be patient with my attack, but be more suffocating. So I just try to pin guys in, just be very relentless. And we were able to go up 1-0, a nice little return ball to Griezmann, and Griezmann's not going to miss those, especially when there's no De Gea in net. And then we get a free kick here, a header from Lacazette. I really wasn't expecting that to go in, to be totally honest with you. Lacazette doesn't score too many headers. I don't score too many headers. I don't really put the ball in the air that much, but I was really in shock. I don't know what his keeper was doing here. Watch the replay. The header's a little bit far out, but watch his keeper short arm it. So unfortunate for that guy. His keeper just acted really stupid, and then he kind of gets a half chance here. I thought I defended it well with Azpilicueta, but unfortunately his player bounces off Azpilicueta. So that was really frustrating because I thought I defended it perfectly. Like, you're going to see a little bit here. He kind of comes into, of course he doesn't want to watch it, but he comes into the tackle. I literally hit the physical button, like the power button, I guess you'd call it, or whatever, in order to body a guy off. And he just didn't do anything. It caused him to slow down, and his Callum Wilson went speeding through. So that was annoying in order for him to pull one back. But right after that, I just went on the offensive again. I think we went attacking or ultra attacking and just went right at him. And Lacazette again, that low driven, just a power shot. So he's been so dynamic for me. I've just really enjoyed his play. And then I just wanted to get a fourth, really just stick it to this guy, just get that fourth goal in there. So he wasn't necessarily a bad player by any means, but he wasn't generating a whole lot of offense. He was kind of somewhat predictable in the sense that he was trying to just counterattack, but defensively he was okay. But we end up getting our fourth there with Lothar Matthäus. A shot hits his defender, bounces right down, and Matthäus puts that away. And when you see that thing pop up in that top part of the screen, you know that the guy's gone. So he's going to rage quit here. So we do get our first rage quit victory. So thankfully we're out of the first round after those two nightmares that we played in the first round. Getting to win finally at 4-1 and get out of that first round was a monkey off my back. So at this point, I was starting to feel a lot more confident. Even though I lost those first two games, I didn't feel like, I couldn't win. Like, I didn't feel like I was discouraged or anything like that. I just came up against two real beast opponents. But I just felt really confident in my FIFA playing ability. And to be honest with you, a lot of people have really been hammering the game, a lot of pros and stuff like that, and I get it. The game to them, they play it as a career and they do it for FUT champs and whatnot. But like, for me, I might not be popular saying this, but I've really enjoyed it. Like, I've really had a great time playing FIFA lately. It played really good on Monday. I don't know if it's just because there weren't too many people in playing it, but I've really been enjoying it. I've had a lot of fun with it. So I don't know what to say. I understand that Vitaly Rocky, ironically, because we're playing for the Team Vitality kit, had stopped. I think he had some issues with some health issues with his mother or something like that. So best wishes to her. But unfortunately, you're seeing a couple pros say that they don't want to play it. And I think a lot of that just comes down to FUT champs. I feel like people are just getting burned out. It's been a year and a half of 40 games every weekend for these guys. But with that being said, unless you're a pro and you have contractual obligations, like, nobody's really forcing you to play it. So a lot of people that I hear, complaining about it, I'm tired of playing this, and FIFA's broken and it's too many games. It's just like with all due respect, nobody's forcing you to play it. Like, I don't play FUT champs and I have a great time. Like, I'm actually really enjoying playing it. Even though I'm, lost a couple games, like, the losses don't bother me because I've just been treating it like, hey, if you can win some rewards, it's fine. But it's gotten to the point where it's just the competitive level of FIFA is really amped up, and everybody thinks that they're a pro now and they're trying to win 40 for 40, and it's just like, you need to take a step back and say, like, hey, what am I playing this for? Am I playing this as a career, or am I playing this because I want to have fun? And if you want to have fun with it, then stay away from FUT champs. Play the DKT, play some seasons if you want a couple competitive games, play online singles, but treat it as like what it is. Treat it as a video game. So anyway, as we jump back into the gameplay, we came up against this opponent. He didn't have a great team. He was a decent player. He was actually trying to read the game quite well, but I think his lack of quality in his team let him down to a certain degree. Also, he had his two wingers were in the wrong position, so he didn't even have like 100 chem, which isn't the end of the world, but the fact that my team was just beasting on him just because of the composition of my team, I think played a factor. And I'm not going to, sit here and lie and act like it isn't. Obviously, my team, I've built it to be like that, so I'm proud of the way I've built it. But, you guys saw his team at the start there. He had this 4-3-3 kind of, he had some not meta Calcio A players like Musashio and stuff like that in D, Donsa in the midfield, even though I think Donsa actually scores here. But, you know, these guys aren't players that you see very often, so credit for him for making the second round, but, you know, even though if he had a better team, I still feel like I would have won because I really just controlled play in the midfield. He was a good player, and I think he probably would have gone a little bit further if he had a little bit of a better team. So we do go up 3-1. This guy was able to pull one back there, but at that point, I just wanted that fourth goal, really put this game to bed. So we send Luka Modric through. He goes running through, and he smashes a low-driven shot to the far post there, makes it 4-1. And even though the guy had pulled one back, I never really felt like this game was in doubt. Like, I don't know if that sounds cocky, me saying that, but I just don't feel like I'm going to lose some of these games. Like, I've just felt really confident in my ability. I've really slowed my attack down, but at the same time been really suffocating with it. I've really been attacking, you know, as a unit, being just really patient. You guys will see a lot of the goals that I score. Like, I try to be very patient around the area, and if you can control the ball, like if you're really a possession type player like I try to be, you know, it really benefits me for my style of play. I get it for what a miss there from Mateus. But, you know, if you can figure out what style of play you are, if you're a counter-attacking player, play like a counter-attacking player. But for me, playing a possession game definitely pays off. I think it's really conducive to this FIFA 18. It really benefits people for playing possession. You guys are seeing it there, just being really patient with it. I could have just got the ball and smashed it with Maradona, but instead you kind of wait out his defenders, be really patient at the top of the box, and of course he got a little unlucky there with that hitting Musashio and going into the back of the net, so maybe that's not the best example, but point being, like, for me, just learning how to be patient about when I attack and not just hitting shoot, because if you squander chances like that, it can mean the difference between winning and losing. So we do end up winning this game 5-1. This opponent, by the end of the game, I think the last 30 minutes, I was just in his end, just holding the ball. He was getting really desperate and kind of lunging and making really erratic tackles, but other than that, he was a decent opponent. It's just, unfortunately, he didn't have the team to kind of play up to his standards, I guess. But he was a decent attacker, so credit to M. Busio. He was really good on the offense. He really knew when to actually unload the ball. He would draw guys out of position and stuff like that. But hopefully he can get himself a better team. But with that being said, we head into the third game here, so we're into the semifinal. I actually took a break after the second game because I was kind of like tired of sweating them out, and I was contemplating just taking a break from this run because I was just like, oh man, I don't know if I have the energy. I can only imagine doing this for 40 games, so I'm like, I don't know if I have the energy to play any more games right now, just because the first two were so sweaty. The second two, you still had to kind of sweat it out. Like, none of them are really super relaxing. And then we head into the semifinals, which you guys know has been my kryptonite in the past. But we headed into the semifinal against this guy. He had a 4-2-3-1. And this guy was probably the most interesting opponent we played all day. He was a very, very good defender, a very poor attacker. So we do get out to an early lead there in the 9th minute with a beautiful little give and go between Griezmann to Lacazette. Lacazette waits it out, plays the return ball in here. So you guys will see here that, or actually with Maradona, Maradona plays a great little return ball, waited out the defender, waited till that space opened up, played it into Griezmann, and Griezmann smashes low driven into the far post. Actually, I think it was a finesse shot, sorry. And then we do make it 2-0, or sorry, I thought we made it 2-0 there, but Griezmann actually scuffs that chance. So we were at 1-1 for actually quite a while, now that I think about this. We were at 1-1 for quite a while, and I thought he was just going to counterattack me and hit me on like some weird break. I was like trying to figure out when this guy's like attack was going to really start to pay off. Unfortunately, it just never did, but we end up making it 2-0 there with Griezmann on the cheese rebound. But yeah, this guy, when I say that he was a very good defender, he was super aggressive, especially with Conte. He would just run at me and like try to run me down, and because he played in a 4-2-3-1, he had so many men. It's such a defensive formation, and he was like good at reading where I was potentially going to go, so I had to be really patient with like my passing. I couldn't rush the passing because he'd pass right into him, but he was just in my face and running me down with the midfield, so you could tell that he'd spent a lot of time defending. But attack-wise, he would either give it to Lukaku or Pogba and try to essentially go 1-on-4 with one attacker. Like, he just didn't have any support up front. I probably should have made it 3-0 there, but a great save from Karnizis, I guess is his name, the Greek goalkeeper. But he didn't generate almost any offense until about the 85th minute. So for the first 85 minutes, he was just trying to like send these kind of balls to the middle of the field where I was holding a high line, and then take it with Pogba or Lukaku, who don't really have really high agility and balance, and try to zigzag run. And then essentially I would either dispossess them, or he would kind of bounce off a couple times because both those guys are really strong. But he was just, it was a very strange attacker. He didn't really generate any offense. He almost got himself a goal there, Hernandez Victor. He almost got himself a goal kind of late there. But for 85 minutes, it was just me holding possession and just, you know, essentially kind of attacking at the guy and trying to like break through his D. But we ended up winning 2-0 regardless, and it was a strange match. But he was a difficult opponent, probably the toughest to break down from the entire day. And then we come up in the final where the guy had informed Jesse Lingard, and inform Arnautovic as a striker. He had Kevin De Bruyne, he had informed Ake. Kind of a strange team, but you know, BPL team with some interesting players in it. None of like the usual suspects. So I appreciate the fact that this guy had a real unique team, with all things considered. Yeah, very interesting opponent. This guy was really spammy, and I don't mean that in a rude way. He essentially played that ball through and tried to cut back and then play it back into space, come back, kind of play the way the computer does. And he eventually broke through in the 13th minute. A very annoying play with Azpilicueta, because I read this perfectly twice, and then the second time there, Azpilicueta does that stupid lunge, which I wish they would get rid of, and then Jesse Lingard steals it and shoots all in one motion. So I was a little annoyed, but I didn't feel like the game was out of reach by any means. Like, I still felt like I was going to be able to pull this back, and we were thankfully able to get the equalizer really quickly. It wasn't off kickoff, but it was not that shortly after. I think he scored like the 9th, and we got in the 17th there. So a nice little weighted play, because this guy was just, when I say spammy, he was like super aggressive, and he was trying to rush everything up the field all the time. He had this kind of like fast, spammy team, but the way he defended too was just like, you can see, just in your face. So we ended up getting a little lucky there with Griezmann. He ends up nutmegging the defender. But as soon as I got the ball into space in front of his keeper, I knew that was a goal. Like, I felt so confident in my abilities in terms of being able to finish that type of thing. So as you guys will see here, I got a little lucky there with the nutmeg, but once I was in front of goal, I knew that I was just going to be able to slot that around the keeper. And then once I went up 2-1, I just felt like, this is my game to lose. He almost actually was able to pull one back here, so this was really against the run of play. A nice little fake give and go there, but I was really aggressive with Courtois, and thankfully Jesse Lingard was able to squander that opportunity, unfortunately for him. But again, you guys will see he's pulling defenders out. He's really trying to rush at me, trying to kind of spammily get the ball back. So I was just able to kind of pull the defenders out of position and then get in behind there. And Maradona makes it 3-1. And at that point, to me, it felt like game over. Like, I knew that just the way I was playing FIFA, like the quality of FIFA that I was playing, and with the way this guy played, I didn't feel like the result was ever in doubt. I didn't know that it was going to be 3-1 or whatever the result was going to be. I thought this guy could potentially get another goal, or I could, you know, score another couple goals. But I just felt really confident that I was going to win at this point. That was the lead that I needed, and I haven't squandered too many leads, thankfully, this year. I've done it, you know, a few times against some really good opponents, but for the most part, like when I'm playing an average guy or above average player, I feel like I can hold on to the lead, and I understand how to take advantage of the mechanics of the game. And then we're able to make it 4-1 after the half there, 57th minute or 58th minute, get the ball into Lacazette, had a little bit of room, saw the keeper creep in and just finessed it around him. So again, Lacazette just so good, creates his own space, creates opportunities, and when he does, he's got that speed and that shooting that he can finish those. So I was over the moon. I was really happy. I didn't actually even expect that necessarily to go in, but thankfully it did. And then at this point, this guy was getting even more erratic with his play. He was just really panically trying to like get at me. So that's when I play my best FIFA, is when guys just really start diving in like so. And that's when it opens up, excuse me, a little bit of space for me. I thought I actually had a fifth here, but unfortunately Lacazette, my boy, squanders it. And then he actually ends up pulling one back. I think we're on defensive at this point, but you see the defenders backing away. And when that happens, you know that the game is basically telling this guy hey, here's your chance to score a goal. So, and I don't mean that in a rude way to the guy. It's just, from a defensive standpoint, when they're not like addressing the ball carrier, they just kind of back up and back up and back up. You know that something bad's going to happen. So he ends up pulling one back. He just walks in and smashes it. It went through the defender and the keeper. So it was whatever. It made it 4-2, but the result was never really in doubt, and we do end up winning the Team Vitality kit, which actually is a really sick kit. If you guys get the opportunity to do it, I highly recommend doing it. It's a really cool kit. I ended up using it offline once. We just threw it right into the team, and it looks really good in game. It's an Adidas kit. It's got the B on it, I guess, and like the yellow V's on it. So really cool kit. We're going to pair that up with the Roma eSports one. But that is going to be the end of the episode, guys. So until episode 27, I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Take care. Peace.